Good evening, everybody. Well, good morning if you're in the States. Evening if you're here in Australia like a normal person. And we'll just see how things go. Hey, Travis. Costas. Jim. G'day, Jim. Got a bit of junk on my workbench still. Just clear this up. Just organising my trash cans. Meter repair. Yeah, alright, we'll get started with that. By the way, he's not here, but Bill from A1 Mobile Repairs suggested to me that I use canned air for helping me get the dust out of my iPads when I close them up. So apparently, yeah, rather than having any fancy clean rooms or anything like that, just as you're about to close them up, and it should clear out the dust. I suppose in theory it should work, so long as you don't hit any of that sort of foam that they have on the edges of the screen, because if you do that it'll probably just blast a whole bunch of that foam up. But we'll give it a shot, see how it goes, and if it doesn't work then I can always turn it upside down and use it as free spray here in Australia. Fortunately that stuff's cheap as. Anyway. And I got myself, like everybody else now, got myself one of those Rosin dispensers, which of course, they're just e-vaping machines. But it was kind of cute though to get the rosin in these very small blocks. The ones I'm normally used to getting are quite a bit larger. When you'd make your own flux at home, you make it with glycerin and stuff like that. Now the best way to deal with these because you need to break it up into little pieces. Okay, so what you do is this is a very professional way. It is actually more professional than what people are expecting what I'm going to do. Assuming I can find what I need. Yep, there we go. A lot of people just hit it with a hammer and stuff, but I don't do that. Instead, stick it in the vise. And looks like the vise could do with a little bit of oiling up. Squeaking like a mouse right now. Yeah, it's the same as bow resin. Hey, Yamara, how you going? That machine going alright for you? Yeah, it's all the same stuff. Bowflex, rosin, whatever. And after you've had it in, it sort of leaves it nicely crushed up. Obviously you do it a few more times to get it really fine. There we go. It's not quite the same as Heisenberg's crystal blue, but it's not far off. That's some high grade flux meth there. Anyway, so by using the vise, it just sort of saves you smashing pieces everywhere. Interesting, they sent me 6 packets. Oh, nice. They're cute little tiny ones, but anyway. This is P-meth. Yep. Pedro, how's it going in your captivity there? I know you're just losing your mind because you can't go out scamming people. You poor, poor bastard. I have no sympathy whatsoever. Hey 3X, it's good. Yeah, okay. Glad to hear, Yunamura, that your new laptop's working. Not kind of really sure what size crystals they want in here. I imagine smaller rather than larger, but I need one of those chemistry dispensing spatula things. I've never used one of these before, so this is going to be interesting. The only reason why I know about crushing it up in the vise is because obviously when I was making my own flux back in the day, what a terrible term to use. Okay, I see that goes out there. Yeah, it's the same sort of thing, you need it crushed up. That doesn't really seal very well. I worry that's going to come off. Let's see. and find ourselves just a random circuit board. Let's give it a bit of a zoom in. So apparently you're supposed to press it 5 times. Okay. But you just hold it down or something. Oh yeah, here we go. Kind of a little bit awkward for the fact that there we go. Yeah, it's not the simplest of devices to use. I guess it's something that you're going to have to practice with. It only goes for so long, then you have to reset it. Oh, okay, thanks, Travis. Let's see what the smearing has offered us. The reason why I've got one is because, as you know, whenever I use freeze spray, it's pretty freaking useless. Freeze spray basically dies in 5 seconds here. You're lucky to get 5 seconds. And whereas at least this stuff, as you can see, it just stays there permanently until it gets a hotspot. Obviously don't have a short on the board, so we'll demonstrate a hotspot. Okay, so if that cap all of a sudden got hot, that's the effect it has. So that's the whole idea behind the Rosin hot short finding system. I think I might be better off finding a different dispenser though. That one there seems a little bit awkward to use. The crystals want to jump out. Easy to wash off. It would be the same as normal, what do you call it? What am I trying to think of? It'd be the same as just normal flux for the most part. God damn, this thing's already cracked. What in the frickin' heck? That cracked already. That glass bowl has cracked already. That's a load of BS. Big fat BS. Alright, I'm definitely gonna have to get a different one. Unbelievable. So believable. And yeah, you sort of need tighter ground. I wonder if you could put liquid flux in there. Like if I just dissolved. I think that would probably work better. If I put this rosin into isopropylene or ethanol and dissolved into sort of like a syrup, and then I could probably use it in a normal vaping machine. Because this is, yeah, I get the idea, it's great, but the application that they're using here is a load of, it's crud worthy. It's no good. Have to do better than this. I don't think it was, Tony. I think what happened is when I put it back over, there was a little piece of the crystal meth, and it just decided to break it. So I think what I'll do is, as I usually do with these sort of things, I will take the idea and improve it. So I think if we start making our own sort of gel or liquid based rosin, so if you take one of these blocks, smash it up, put it in IPA, it dissolves fairly quickly, and then it's a case of probably just finding out what the right consistency is, and I'll go down to the local, what do you call it, tobacco store and see what they've got. And they'll be like, oh man, what do you got there? And I'll be like, oh, you know, it's pine tree. And they'll be like, oh, can I try it? And I'm like, nope, you don't want to do that. What did that cost you? It cost me $5. Anyway, the next drama that we've been having is, as some of you know, I've been given a grant by Mr. Rossman, courtesy via another person, or rather another person via Rossman, and that's to produce open board data capture packages. And I've bought these Duratool meters because they were the only ones I could find locally, which are basically the same, mostly the same as these very good B-side ADM 20s. You can't get these ones anymore, so I got these ones, but then I was testing it and I could not get a reliable connection. It would just keep dropping out on me really badly. But this one was very reliable, and it wasn't because of the board speed change, because these ones run at 2400, these ones run at 9600, but that's not a problem. The problem was that when I'd plug it in, it didn't matter whether it was Windows, Linux, or anything like that, it would drop out periodically and say bad cable and things like that, and I changed cables and that would still. So what I did in the end is I swapped these comms modules. That's how easy it is to get these out. You just, yeah, they're just completely self-isolated module. You just take it out, and it's the same on that as that. And what I found is that the working model has a what is it, a CH340G USB bridge controller, and it's got a revision number of 2.54. This one here has exactly the same board and exactly the same chip. Everything's the same, except its revision was 2.64, and it didn't work. And I changed the chip, I swapped the chip over, I did everything to eliminate it, and I found it's the chip. If you heat the chip up a little bit, it starts behaving, but then it dies. Unfortunately, it seems to be affecting every single one of these meters that I've bought, and they're all brand new, and I don't want to have to go through the drama of getting them all replaced, because Element 14, the supplier of them, will pick them up and they'll refund me, but I don't want it refunded, I want a working meter. So what I've said to him is, look, I've got access to replacements of these chips with the revision number that does seem to work. Some fellow was selling 200 of them on eBay for $60 or so, so I just bought all 200 of them. It was cheap enough. And I'll replace these chips, no problem. I'm happy to do it because it's only 4 screws. You pull that out, swap the chip back in, away you go. And the only thing I'm trying to ask them though is if they can maybe drop me a discount for the inconvenience of having to deal with the dodgy product. Because there's no point in me getting more from Duratool, because they'll probably all have the same fault. They would have all been probably manufactured in the same batch, badged up like they are. Anyway, we'll see how we go. If Duratool, if Element 14 decides, nah, screw you mate, we're not going to give you any discount because you're already screwing with them, then, yeah, c'est la vie, it's just the way it goes. I'll still swap them over because I don't have the time. It's already taken long enough to get everything prepared for this open board data capture system. I just want to get people onto it and get it out there. So if I've got to manually change those chips with no thank you very much from Element 14, it's the way it goes. Alright. Let's see what else. The third revision of this board has been submitted. It won't really look that much different, other than the fact that, you know, we'll fix up that fault that we had with the ISP header, and oh yeah, and I'm going to have round corners on it so that when you're holding it like this, it doesn't dig into your fingers or anything like that. I've decided to just go with the 3 buttons like this. It's fairly easy to distinguish between them, and you don't really have any accidental clicks. You know, you really got to actually, you know, punch it in pretty good. So that'll be another week and a half before the new boards arrive, so it probably coincides nicely with me fixing up all the other meters. That's all the fun and games. We've got to get to a board repair, because yeah, that's what we've got to do. We've got a coffee damaged 820-1700 board, and these are not fun boards. They're dreadfully annoying to take out of the chassis, that's for sure. Even worse though to put back in, because you always forget one of the flexes. You need a 3D printed case. Maybe, you know, I mean, I'll leave that to some other entrepreneuring person to actually come up with a case. That's the other thing. I will have various mounting holes in it. So if you want to have a stud coming up from the bottom of the case that you want to bond it to, then so be it. But I designed it in a way that it could still be handheld and relatively comfortable and still work without having to go to the extra expensive case. But I'm sure some people out there will come up with their own cases, and be interested to see what you all do come up with. Alright. We need to fix up the damage that's on this. And there's a moderate amount of it already. Yeah, and I probably could. Yeah, I mean, it's all going to be open source and free anyway. So the Gerbers and the Eagle files, they'll all be available. That connector's got to go, unfortunately. Gee, I hope I can actually get a replacement one of those. It looks sufficiently familiar. And by that I mean, I've probably got another board that has the same one. And unfortunately that's about the best part of the board. No, this is a trackpad flex actually. Now, I don't know what the boot status of this board is. I don't know whether it's starting up 20 volts or anything. I suspect it's not getting 20 volts though. But I don't want to fire it up until I've cleared away any of the corrosion that I'm aware of. It might be possible to save this, I'm not sure actually. I'm a little worried about the pins, to be honest. It's like up here. Maybe I can save it. A bit of flux and stuff. It looked pretty bad, but let's give it a whirl. I do want to almost get it to the reflow point though. I might scrub it up first. Hey Keith. Hey Andrew. Tony, why aren't you doing repairs? It's something I've missed, obviously. Just don't reflow the plastic. Obviously not, Pedro. Obviously not. Thanks for being Captain Obvious today. Everybody's got to have a Captain Obvious in their channel. Yeah, it's gonna... There must be ground pins or something, or VCC pins of some sort. See, Tony, all your crap burned up. Oh, what, you had a workshop failure? I have a feeling you've actually mentioned this before, and I've been a bad host and failed to recall. Yeah, I'm a little worried about these pins not regaining proper contact. And I feel like the pins underneath are probably, given that it is such an important connector, it's probably best that we take it off. I'm still going to be careful with taking it off. I still want to see if I can just get it to gently slide off. House fire. Oh, right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. There we go. You don't have to butcher connectors to get them off. You don't have to be the real life Rossman. There is a compromise there. I probably should be nicer. The guy just gave the repair community a small, medium-sized grant, so I should be a little bit nicer. I'm kind of hoping something like a 1708 or whatever has a similar trackpad connector. Bit of wishful thinking there, but you never know. You watch, I'll find out. Oh no, that's not even close. Crud. Alright. The fight is on. I've got a 239 maybe donor board that will help. 239 has a couple of these connectors, so one of them might match. Let's just hope I didn't butcher it while I was fixing it. And you look like a match. You're a little bit dinged up, but you're a match. And we'll just do the same thing. Patience is the key here. Patience and a decent dose of luck. Blimmin' close. There we go. Hey, Warren Stamps. Good evening to you. Ed's Soul Shop and Greg's here. Yeah, Jim, I was talking about the Rosin dispenser. since we've already got leaded down here, I'm going to drop the air temperature, not the air temperature, the volume of the air from 110 to just 80. I just kind of need to get a little bit aligned. That should do it. It should be enough to drop it in. It'll just take about 60 seconds or so to get it warmed up enough, and that leaded solder should do its trick. Looks like it's already on the run. The only trouble is it's not really pulling it into alignment, which is what I was hoping for. Okay. Looks like we're good there. Yep. And it's completely out of focus, of course, because my eyeballs affect. Hey, Crazy J. Probably not 100% secured, so we have to go along and do a little bit of pin-to-pin talking, just in case. Hey Pedro, yeah, no problem. That was driving me insane how the default BRD file was like that, so, you know, I had the ability to create the BVR file with the proper outline look. Okay, we're just going to get some assistive heat. It just doesn't feel right without having a nice outline. What I do need to do is create a exporter that will actually export as BRD format, using the existing format that we're used to. But the downside with that is that when I start adding improvements, or when I start making it that flexboard view can add improvements to boards, I kind of want to be able to save to, you know, I want BVR to be a little bit more pervasive. I think that's the right word. Basically, I want it to start becoming a little more preferred compared to the rather limited BRD format. I mean, BRD is great, but it doesn't have a lot of information in it, in terms of parts or anything really. Which is all the more reason why it's completely crazy that companies complain, oh no, you can steal our design. It's like, you can't really steal much from a BRD file any more than you can steal the design of a house from its floor plan. I mean, I suppose you can, but there's just so much data that's not there. Alright, so that's that. Okay, we've got this here. Okay, it's interesting, we've got 3 speaker amps. Let's see, 577, 577. Yeah, I didn't realize we had 3 speaker amps on there. That looks like a bit of a cluster. Yeah. This here is what I'd be more worried about than that. I think we'll just use some 80-20 on that and wash it off. (80-20) is so nice because of the fact that it does clear away the worst of the corrosion, but it doesn't make all of the hint go away. You know, you still get to see that there was corrosion there. And of course if you videotape it, it helps too. Fairly sure that's not shorted. It looks gnarly, but I don't think it's shorted. Yeah, it's not shorted. I just did that so that I could hear the beautiful sound of the continuity beeper actually being audible instead of what was that bollocks that we had before. So we've got some problems here. I'm not really sure the purpose of this section, but I guess we'll find out. USB-C 5-volt VR. Okay, what about you? Okay, so it's something to do with regulated 5-volt, 3GS, 5-volt S4. Alright, so hopefully looks like a fair bit of current going out of it. Alright, we'll clean that up and hope it goes okay. Hey, Wayne's noob. Thankfully it didn't seem to get near to the 3217s. I now have enough of those on hand to really risk. There's a bit of silvering down there, I'm not sure what that's from. I'll have to check that out. Now because these are just simply edge type connected on the chips, you know, there's no BGA, and we can get away with doing this sort of cleaning. I might give it a hit with some flux though, flux and boil. It'll have the nice effect also of driving off any of the water that's left over from the 8020. I have to say, it's really good that we've been able to pick up the grant for the open board data systems, because it's nice now that I was going to do as much as I could myself. I've got my own financials here that I can draw from. But when Lewis stepped up and said, we can send you a grant for this sort of thing, and Lewis spent a fair bit of his own money sorting out the legals for this. So, because it's not the simplest of thing to send a bunch of grant money, take your pick, between countries. It's bad enough just locally, but when you're trying to make it go across to another country, it can get really squirrely in terms of legals. So he coughed up his own money for that, to sort that out. That's not a sound you like to hear. That was water popping out of somewhere. Yeah, Pedro, the main problem with adding it to the BRD is not so much adding, that's easy enough in a sense, but re-encoding the file, that's the problem. Pedro probably has a re-encoder for it. I just haven't bothered to take the time because I want to see if that has been eaten out from underneath. It doesn't feel like it. It just sort of has a look about it that it might have been cavitated underneath. One of those things where you're like, I probably should check that. Obviously I don't want the flash rather, getting upset, so I'm just shielding it. It shouldn't really, because the amount of thermal absorption capability that chip has By the time this resistor finally gets to the point, that will not be getting even close to bubbling out yet. Any day now. Yeah, let's switch it up. Ooh. Yeah, the Landrax format. I can make it that Flexboard View can and OpenBoard View can read it in a decoded form. And I've got no problem with that. Okay, those resistors are fine, the pads aren't going anywhere. Okay, there is a little bit of etching out, eating out here. I might lift that MOSFET. Just to see how far it goes, because it is the gate pin that it's on. And the last thing you need is your gate being constantly either pulled high or low. That looks okay. Oh Jim, I've got some seriously good fans out there. Very dedicated people that will come along and make sure that I get my solid daily thumbs down, because they're truly upset about, well, who knows what. Maybe I upset them with my discussions on the various renewable energy and electric vehicle forums. God, there's some interesting people out there. The worst thing is you actually cannot have a proper debate. If you go to those sort of forums or Facebook groups, you really have to accept that you're not going to get a proper debate. It's more like just playing magic cards or Pokemon or something like that, and everybody's just trying to one-up the other one's card. That's about all there is to it. Hey, Ruger's Customs. There's no true discussion, but I suppose you live forever in hope that maybe, just maybe, you might get a point across so beautifully that someone will finally go, oh. And maybe, after wasting half your life dealing with morons, you might get a win. But it's very unlikely. .3D printing Facebook groups tend to be full of men with glass ego. Seriously? I don't get it. It's like, why is that happening in 3D printing? I guess, well, people are very protective of their techniques or something? Oh, that's a freaking disaster there. Okay. Yeah, like, people secretive about their methods of printing, or what's the deal there? What are they getting all their crotches all knotted up about? Yeah, I'll have to find out what that chip does. TV bus. Alright, so it's okay. Yeah, that's great, great. That pin there is a little bit corroded, and it's straight onto the ISL, so it's probably going to be an idea for me to take that off and check that it's okay underneath. But the problem is that we've got this very sensitive little darling here that does not take kindly whatsoever to any kind of heat. Even when you shield them, they're like, you hurt me. And yeah, they're all, yeah. And the thing is, they're a pain in the, absolute pain in the posterior to replace. So we're going to do our very best not to melt it up too much, but the hopes are low. Hey Gibbo, welcome. Love the name. Always love the name. Okay, I'm just going to turn it around to get a better angle on it. I guess really when you think about it, you're always going to have that particular type of person that we're talking about, the glass ego, yeah, that sort of person. It doesn't really matter what field they're in. If they're they're going to go to some sort of field and they're going to be that sort of person who, well, you know what they're like. They're going to be hyper obsessive about things, very pedantic, very difficult to talk to if you're not on exactly the same beliefs and things like that. And yeah, they've got the glass egos, and then they'll very quickly degenerate to berating you or saying, just pulling out 25 steps to get all the fallacies in the book. There's not much you can do, they're just everywhere. I'm sure they probably even exist in patchwork quilting groups. You can't stitch like that, that's not the right way to stitch. That stitch was invented by such and such in 1423, and the fact that you have done that on the piece material that contains 2% polyester means that is a direct violation of the Queen's Accord, and therefore you shall be tied to a chair, thrown into the river, and you will sink until death. Something like that. Jeez, this is a tough bugger to get off. Yeah, that's not coming off in a hurry. Well, at least we didn't violate this one. But they're everywhere. We know they're everywhere. We can sometimes become them. Hopefully not for too long. Feed this thing into the fume extractor. Hey, Daniel. Oh look, a person who actually has the name Daniel. I am so sick of people calling me Daniel. I get emails with, "Hi Daniel," and it's like, my name is Paul, for God's sake. It's like, can you not read? Can you not see that the name is P.L. Daniels, Paul Lawrence Daniels? Come on. How hard is it? It's always a bad start when people do that to me, and I'm like, alright, what else are you going to gloss over that I'm going to have to compensate for? Yeah, I'm in a cranky mood today. Deal with it. Bustin' chops today. Of course, now all I've done is everybody's going to message me and say, "Hi Daniel." I'm like, you cursed bastards. A pox on you all. I don't know why people can't understand that Daniels is actually a perfectly valid name. Daniel Paul sounds like a station DJ. I guess that's why when I was overseas, I was predominantly just known as Jack. Everybody just knew me as Jack. Hell, even my bank accounts were Jack. Jack Daniels. I don't know why. They just said, "Yeah, we're fine if it could be Jack Daniels." I said, "Yeah, but my passport says Paul Daniels." No, that's right. Jack Daniels is what you're known as, so you get that bank account. Fantastic. Alright, let's see if we get any sort of viable response here. Five volts, we're going to 20 volts. 200. 300. And it collapses back down. Oh, that sucks. Suckety sucks. Might come back, give it a little bit longer, but it's stuck at 50 milliamps, which means it's probably, yeah, that's not a good sign. No, not good at all. 55 milliamp at 20 volts probably means it's got, whatchamacallit, DFU issues or something. Maybe. There could also be a short on this board, so I'll bring out the gym cam just in case. Sometimes you can get 20 volts and there is a short on the line, it cuts it down to 55. But usually when that happens, it tends to do it right away. It doesn't sort of ramp up and come back down to 55. It rather just immediately hits 55 and that's it. But I'd sooner say this is DFU because it's going through a boot sequence. I do wish there was a better way of determining if it is in DFU mode. Maybe there's a pin that fires up when it's in DFU mode. So, do I have this machine on? No? Come on, baby. Fire up. Yeah, you're waking up like Lurch. You roam. Come on. Yes, that's right, folks. I partake in using Macbooks. Okay, this is a data required one. Laptop won't turn on. Have been informed that logic port is affected. Yeah, no kidding. There's a new tool on Rework Shop that does that, as in the DFU thing. Alright. I just need to double check on this 819 to make sure. I know I've got a job in here in the queue at the moment that is supposed to be a data specific one. And obviously I don't want to just go willy-nilly destroying things. Okay, no data mention on this one. Tony, maybe they're talking about like Bubble Pop. Wait, Bubble Pop. Wait, that's a K-pop song, isn't it? Luna someone. Pretty sure it is. Yeah. Right, ignore the restart issue. Ugh, I don't want App Store, I want... This is probably not going to go anywhere, but... And... let's see. Okay, you can be the front. This probably won't actually do anything. I'm just kind of curious to see if it reports anything at all when plugged in. Usually it never does, of course, but give it a moment, see if anything comes up. Gymcam I don't think I will be using because I'm fairly sure this is pulled into DFU. Let's see, I have an A1466 that goes orange light, even the battery disconnected. Yeah, that's normal. If you have no battery disconnected, they all go orange. Nothing coming up? They're alright. Not greatly surprised that nothing's coming up because usually you do have to still put in the keyboard sequence. Obviously not going to get any warmth out of that. I'm kind of contemplating ultrasonicing it, but yeah, I think we'll just put this one aside for tonight. because that one's basically going to need me to stuff around quite a bit, and we don't want to bother with that. So overhead. Hey Kristen, from the Ashes is here. Hello Ashes. I'm just going to mark in what's going on. Add note. Version cleaned up. Trackpad connector replaced. Current pulls back 255 milliamp at 20 volts. Likely DFU issue. Put the T2 issue. Alright, so yeah, we'll leave that one for tonight because, yeah, dealing with T2, DFU sort of thing, it means stuffing around back and forth. We've got other projects we can work on in the interim. Running out of slots again. Alright, I'll go get another machine. Oh. Alright, we got the data is important one. So, put the shields over there. Get ourselves some fresh paper towel-y. A Noosa cat. I'm gonna have to switch to my face. I'm sorry, folks. Watch me scratch my nose. Yeah, there's too many stickers indicating things on this computer that I don't wish to have other people see. That hair is annoying me. Okay, so it looks like they've taken the back off already. Let's hope they didn't do anything. Let's hope they didn't do anything like, oh, let's knock off the parts on the edge of the circuit board. Alright. Okay, looks like it's actually, yeah, it's definitely had liquid damage in it. Let's go to the overhead. Charity haircut. Pff, no. Pass. Don't want no haircuts. What I'm waiting for are barber mites. Something you can comb through your hair and it automatically does the hairstyle of choice. Okay, so disconnect the battery. So what have we got here? This is a 20... Oh, what is this? 1706, is it? I don't always believe what I read. Yeah, okay, it's 1706. It's not a good idea just to randomly believe what is on the sticker. Particularly with these new machines, they can look quite similar between each other. Yeah, the 21 series or the 19 series versus the 17 series. Okay, there is flux on my screwdriver. I do not appreciate that. Haven't seen Caveman Paul. No, it's going to take a while. Batteries look weird. It looks original to me, as far as I can tell. It's... What was that? Just right back. That sounded not good. I was cursing. Cursing at what they've done with these screws, and also cursing the fact that we've got a stray cat that's causing problems and we haven't been able to manage it properly. It's difficult because we actually don't think it's a true stray. We're fairly sure it's someone's cat, and it just comes around and beats up on. See, that should be a T4, but it looks like they've tried to, yeah, they've tried to open it up for T5, and they've just chewed it out. Anyway, if you are a store and you do not have the right screws, for goodness sake, buy some. Please. I have a feeling this, though, was not by a store. We've got the noise back. What are you people complaining about? I'll have to write a sternly written report on this one. And I don't know if they've tried to wash this themselves or what. Anyway, at least they didn't go for the screen, so that was a good something saved there. My guess is this was handed in to the BTB store that sends them to me in this state. At least I'm really hoping so. Maybe they were thinking they just weren't getting a proper contact with the screw head with their T5. Maybe they're thinking, oh, we just need to push it a little harder because, yeah, maybe it's a little bit out of spec on the screw head. Just got to push a little harder and make it fit. That's not how it works. Oh, okay. Well, we've got a fair bit of corrosion there, so that's certainly not going to help. Yeah, a few dozen more things to disconnect. I used to think 1706s were a very annoying machine to work on, but then they brought out the 01700 boards, and that took the prize. Always be careful with this one here. I like to use a little bit of heat to get it up, because it is bonded to the PCB with a bit of two-sided glue. You just need a little bit of heat to get it up. It's the on-off button. If you try to pull that up without using a bit of heat, it's not always a good outcome. It's a good outcome for Apple though. Have you tested it? Ratmel, yeah, and it's already cracked the damn... these are underfilled CD32s. Oh, actually that's not a bad thing really. Yeah. I'm just whinging because that's the default thing you do when you see underfill, but realistically in this case it probably saved the chip. Fingers crossed. What I'm going to do with the Rosin thing is I'm actually going to create my own Rosin gel and then go find a vaping unit that does better with gels. Which pretty much is probably most of them. Okay, glasses off. First thing we do, get the board number. What are we going to have? 239. Yeah, you can see they've tried to brush the liquid damage away. So they gave it a wash, brushed it away. Looks like it was pretty goddamn catastrophic. Oh, that's a full wipeout situation. Touch is gone. Touch bar rather. What about the CPU? Thankfully the CPU VREG area seems okay. So there is a slight chance the data will be okay. I'm not going to give too many hopeful comments on that. We are using COOs. Where the hell's the board number? This is quite the train wreck. Okay, it's a 923. Okay, I was close. I said 239, so 923. As far as I know, 239 and 923 are pretty close. We basically just use it interchangeably. Obviously there's going to be some variations, but okay, I'm just creating a job code on this because I know there's going to be a lot of stuff to make note of. Right, where to start? That's the real trick here. Yeah, that's really not pretty. I guess we just start somewhere. This machine may end up being a data recovery only, I'm not sure. Guess we'll see how we go. Sometimes when you do the 80-20 clean, it comes up looking prettier than what you expected. It's kind of like when you try to sneak out the morning after at a nightclub date, but then you get caught and then you go, oh wait, actually, yeah, not so bad looking without your makeup after all, so I'll stick around and have coffee. That cap there is possibly going to be a problem. That there was 100% IPA, I just poured over it. It is always useful to know what it was that was spilled on it too. Okay, this connector probably is going to have to be replaced. Goddamn hair. There's a bit of dust there. There's a little bit of corrosion building up on that cap there. I wonder if that one's shorted. It'd be funny if that's actually a shorted cap and the rest is still running. Sometimes you've got to be careful too, because with this corrosion type, you can end up not actually being able to touch the pad, and so you think it's not shorted, but it actually is, but you just don't get to know that because of the fact that, well, it's you're not making contact, so you can't tell. I'm not overly worried about that. It's messy, but it's something I can clean up. Just give it a bit of a... Oh, frickin' hell. Sorry, excuse me for a second. Now, that is not going to help. If we're lucky, it will just be a janitorial job, but I don't know how lucky we are today. I've already got a DFU job. I'm not happy about that one. I'm genuinely hoping it will be just janitorial work here. What is that? Where did that come from? Like I said, I'm kind of lacking a little bit of faith here in the universe. Alright, so that's a bit of a cluster job there. Oh, it's Copaz here. We may need the gym cam for this, because chances are one of these rails has decided to go short style. Okay, this all looks okay. But I'm really hoping that the 3215s are okay. And we just simply have an external cap or two that needs replacing. Hope, 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 hope. Just do a quick check on a couple of them. Daniel, I use stuff called Ambersil. Okay, there we are. We've got a short there. Yeah, I use stuff called Ambersil, and I usually have it at about 60 degrees centigrade and 5 minutes aside. We don't need to see the OB data stuff. Okay, so 3v3 G3 hot shorted. So that's actually a good thing in some ways. The question is where is it shorted? Now, hopefully the ISL is okay, but there are so many places this could be shorted. So we're going to see if we can at least find a filthy dirty cap. Could be the other side. Switch over. Yeah, it's more than likely one of these up here. If I had to put money on it, I would say that one there is probably a culprit. But I don't know if that is on 3v3 G3 hot. Let's have a looky-loo. And it is. It is indeed. There we go. It's this sucker here. So I guess the question is, do we jesser it or we chicken out? I don't think we can actually jesser this one. There we go, we jessered it. Oops, Pedro said do it properly. Well, that's tough. Might not be this one at fault, by the way. But it would appear it was. Now, there's a good number of others on there that are also looking a bit shonky. Like you're Mr. Shonky. You're all pretty shonky. You're shonky. You've got no pad left. So, that's shonky number one. Shonky and chonky. Let's just go back and verify that our short has vanished. Yes, it has. Alright. Okay, so at this point I would say we can attempt to see if we get any activity. With the damage that we're seeing on that board, I'm a little worried about what we're going to find in the machine itself. And it may end up being a case of we just write the machine off. I don't know. We want the data. Okay, so we go over here, use this side. Well, we don't know if it's fixed properly yet, because even though we've removed a short, there's probably a lot of other things that are wrong. Five volts. Yeah, we're stuck at 5 volts. It's not coming up. So we either have another short elsewhere, or the ISL is dodgy, or could be many other things. 230 milliamp, that is probably gym cam worthy. So let's bring out the gym cam and see what it's going to give us. Anything around the ISO? As far as I remember, the ISO was pretty clean. I'm just gonna wait for it to. Okay, it's ready now. Damn thing just ran out of power. How classically Jim. I have to go get another USB-C cable. God damn it. USB-C brick somewhere? I'm sure I've got one. Yep, we do. Alright. That's what I get for not charging it. Still, at some point, they do... That looks like a really angry, sad, kind of looking face thing. The circuit board is like the chalkboard in Mr. Squiggle. What the... Random noises. Alright. Alright, so we've got something going on over here. Something going on over... Yeah, that's a CD32. Okay, I'm not quite sure what that is. Everything else is predominantly reflections. Just flip it over and see if we've got anything showing up on the other side. Oh, alright. So it's there. We'll just put that aside and leave it on charge. So we're looking at this area here. I'm pretty sure. Well, no. This area here. $69.83, isn't that 3D DC and battery connectors? Well, it's not a bad sign. That's actually a good thing because that means we might just have another big fat short somewhere. Probably I should have checked that. Let's see what our continuity is like. Okay, nothing there. Just might check some of the other caps in this area. Why is that fizzing? You see that? When I put the contacts down, you see it fizz. Like this. That's a little crazy. Yeah, it's fizzing all. So whatever did infect this board. There's not a lot of current that goes through for continuity testing. Yeah, it's only a couple of milliamps usually at the most. and it's causing that to fizz up, so that's actually very interesting. Remember, we're not actually putting a lot of current through there, it's mere, yeah, smidges of current. Might want to check that MOSFET. Honestly, I almost feel like I should ultrasonic this, because I don't know what they washed it with prior. Ah, shite. How did I not see that? There's a little bit of build-up of junk there. That's not good. Still, we're not getting to 20 volts, so it's not getting to the point where it's turning the CPU on, thank God. Well, I do like to fall back to my fairly typical policy of stick around to where the damage is, where the corrosion is. Well, for all we know, it could be any of those things. And a short's not always going to present itself in a big fat way. And sometimes your shorts are so strong or so close to zero that the heat shows up everywhere else but where the short is, simply because there's no resistance in the short itself. So should be a beep. Yep, thank you. Definitely corrosion and junk under there. I know the heat that we got on that chip was nowhere near here, but I just want to go through and, yeah, it only takes me a few seconds to go through and check all these. They're all together as far as I can tell. That was just me. I think they're on the same. There's a lot of dud parts here. Now, Miles, the CDs are underfilled, so they should be safe. It's one of the few times that it's kind of a funny thing, you know. If you have underfill, it should theoretically save you from them getting the damage, but at the same time, I suppose they can be damaged just simply from the external issues. Alright, let's focus on maybe why this is getting warm. It could be the ISL at fault. Just going to check some voltages. So you saw something glowing at the 2 o'clock position. If it was glowing from heat, then the camera would have put the crosshairs directly on it, anything that hot. It probably was also, if it's near the fan holes and stuff like that, that would just be the the reflection, hopefully. I'm not saying it absolutely was, but I'm saying it wouldn't surprise me if it was. Okay, where's that damn part that I'm chasing? Oh, here we go. Okay, so we've only got 1.3. coming out, 1.1 coming out on PP bus, so it's not really a short or anything like that. It's more something else is a bit buggered. Question is where. Likely what's going on if... so if we're not getting 3v3, then... yeah, we're not going to get anything else coming up. It's a diode mode on that. So that's the weird thing, 0.34, it's not a short really at all. Not even close. Which is a bit of a problem because it means it's quite possibly an active type thing where it's a chip somewhere causing the problem. At this stage I could try and inject a voltage, or I can just keep looking around for a little bit more. If we put like 2 volts or 1 volt in there and see where it lights up. Hopefully not literally. The other problem we have here is if I want to remove that MOSFET, then this being underfilled kind of inhibits us, and we may be forced to have to remove it. Inspect the ISL. Yeah. Let's call. Yep. Speak not, can I? As Paul realises, he's not quite sure where the ISL is on this. Not the most common board for me to look at it. Oh, there it is. Duh. Idiot. Yeah, can't really see any crud, and it's certainly... I mean, it's in the region of where the damage was, kind of, not really. Yeah, the spot's flux. It's just a bit of water, that's flux. That's why I don't get too excited when I find shorter caps on these type of boards, because more often than not there are secondary issues. The dud ISL is not uncommon as a consequence of getting your PP bus shorted. Still, I don't think we're looking for another shorted cap. I think we're looking for a damaged chip at this point. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's lots of damage around here, plenty of damage for all to share. I will actually just remove the overfill on there. It's not the easiest overfill to remove. It's not like the nice iPhone overfill, but it will come off at 250. Oh, this is, let's do a short killer style, eh? Even though these little resistors and capacitors have that underfill near them and over them, they're still perfectly able to get damaged because it doesn't truly actually seal them. It's more an accidental event that they even have it near them. It's merely just from the chip squeezing out the underfill. I'm just going to go along and touch each one of those up. Sometimes what you find is if there is damage under it, if you touch one side, then the other, if the other side isn't adhered properly, then it's going to just lift right up. Like that. Mind you. Okay, so that one there, yeah, that definitely came off a little easy. We'll do it one at a time, just sort of verify what we're dealing with. So CPU side. So that was this one here. Who knows? Hey, Hasselmoth, how's it going? Alright. That's a 1 meg resistor. Okay. Okay, we'll try the next one now. Do not go into there. That would be quite annoying. You'd have to fish that out. Can't afford to have something like... Mind you, in fairness, it's pretty close to being an open circuit in itself, being a 1 mega. Still, it's not something you'd want to do. I'm not happy with this second one here. I suspect it's also 1 mega. Mind you, it is holding up. It just doesn't seem very happy. Hey, Blue Dog Run. That cap there, I would say, is probably just asking to be dead, in my opinion. The soldering iron tip doesn't have the power to lift that up, so we give it some assistive. That one finally did sort of give up. I was happy to have that come up because it really wasn't a healthy looking little chap. And this cap isn't either. And you don't look so... Yep, I didn't think you looked great either. That's what I mean about sticking around to the damage areas, because yeah, there's almost always going to be additional damage. Hey, Pachumba. I can't say for sure if that cap is truly dead or not. We'll have a check, see what its actual bus is. It's on a 3v3 UPC line, and interestingly enough, it is the same as those two resistors that we just got knocked off. There we go. Let's see that. See, it doesn't report. There we go. There, finally we get it. Okay. That's what I was talking about before, where I was saying that you can't be guaranteed that simply because when you're touching the cap it doesn't short, doesn't mean it's not shorted. It just means you don't always get to touch it in the right place, and it won't reveal to you what needs to be said, which is, I'm short 5'2". Alright. I don't want to Jessa method this one, I'm sorry, I just can't do it. I'm kind of... there. I have to. I use the soldering iron but also Jessed it. Not a good thing to do with these micro pencil tips, by the way. They really do not appreciate that sort of mechanical force. Miles, damn it, I keep forgetting to reply to your email. What is wrong with me? To be fair, for the last couple of months, every day now, I start thinking, you know, maybe I've caught up on all my jobs, you know, maybe there's not too many people waiting on me to do something. But every day, someone messages me and I realise, and I go, oh, trash. I forgot about your job, and I'm sorry, you know, I've got to pull the whole apologetic routine, and I am apologetic, legitimately, but it's been so long, and yet I am still playing catch up ever since the start of the year after all the things that happened. It's genuinely frustrating. Okay, we don't have those two debug pull-up lines, but I'm going to see if we get 20 volts now. Yeah, Arnold G, they're all a bit effed up. I am almost inclined with this particular machine to actually classify it as a data-only machine. I don't do that very often with MacBooks, but sometimes, if you look at the type of damage and things like that, and you just sort of think, this really probably should just be a data-only job. Recover it and walk away. Because I fear that looking at the type of damage, okay, it's resetting that port now, so that's interesting. We've got a change now. Okay, so we've moved another step into the process. We've probably got another short that we're going to have to find. And now at this point it could be ISL related. We can have a look at the gym cam, see anything flares up. Okay, looks like we're alive. Joe, unfortunately, I'm not in a position for that to be a possibility as yet. I would dearly like to take a holiday, and funnily enough, when I say take a holiday, I'm not talking about traveling anywhere. I'm just talking about not having to do jobs, but I do have things I gotta get out of the way first. Alright, so we've got power. Kind of looking for something that jumps up for an instant and then drops away. Like this ISL here is getting warm. Kind of need to put a cardboard or something underneath there to try and stop the migration of the heat. Oh, seriously, come on. Nothing really getting warm there. That's okay. That skip that happened. We'll see where that came from. It might be what we're looking for. It might be what we're looking for. I can't be sure. Because usually the skip means it's found a temporary really hot spot. Not always, but sometimes. It might have just been a glitch in the matrix. Yeah, it might have just been a data processing error, because it should have bounced. If it was something, it should have come back by now. Ah, damn it. It's just probably because we're not capable of speaking Deutsch. It's been now that was a genuine frame glitch. I got nothing. If I had to go out on a limb, I'd probably. Yeah, it's. You know what? I really don't know. Start putting back the parts that we took off. Unlikely that that'd be the fault, but you never know. Actually, this it shouldn't be. That shouldn't be coming into play in theory because I'm not using this port. But part of the drama with this particular design of board is the fact that all of the ports are interlinked, and it's not unusual to have one side not functioning and it's actually the CD3215 on the other side, as in the left right side. But yeah, damn, I keep doing that, eh? Yeah. Okay, just checking that really does still. So there's two very dead capacitors we've found so far and still no joy. Let's put the parts back on. So what are you? 10 microfarads, 63402. I think I've got those. Otherwise, I'll just probably nick them off an iPhone. Ten microfarads, 63402. What the Americans say Nikon. Jeez. Yeah, I've always known as Nikon. Still, sure we say things that they say are wrong too, depending on the origin. Let's see. Alright, so this is now a gamble of will I reflow. Ow. First I'm burning my fingertips, so that's not a good start. Will I pop balls out of the CD before I get these down? I had success the other week with an iPhone XR, putting big caps right next to the CPU without destroying it, so I've got a small sense of confidence that could be severely misplaced, of course. Okay, they're down. Hey, Micromage Repair, welcome. And we've got two 1 meg caps up here. I just realised we didn't actually check to see what these components here were for. They could be critical. 3210. Yeah, that's definitely critical. That's a communication bus. So without that, we're not going to have any comms. Okay, that's not a bad. Oh, I have added a new feature to Flexboard View that it's not yet out to the public, but I'll demonstrate what it is. So one of the problems that we have when we're searching for part is we get false hits or just dud hits, and it looks like Paul needs to stretch that out a little more. Okay, so what I have done is let's get rid of that. Added the way you can search. So if we say, if you search like 1 microfarad, you'll get a hit on 1 microfarad and you'll get a hit on 0.1 microfarad. So now we can have 1 microfarad. Case doesn't matter anymore either, by the way. And we use left align or strict matching, so it's either going to, left align's by default pretty good. And let's see, 0603. Realistically, we could probably go, actually, you know what? We go 6.3 volts. Left align, make sure we get proper 6.3. And the substring can be 402. So that will match 0402 or 402. Probably should be 30 there. Now in the old days, well, with the versions that are out there at the moment, putting in a 1 microfarad will always get you 0.1s as well. So hopefully, we have a look at 165. And as you can see, it has correctly picked up the 1 microfarad, but it hasn't gone for the 0.1s. So we can do a test. So the 402, 402, 1 okay, so we can look for, we'll put SERM in instead of the voltage. Okay, that's enough. And again, as you can see, it got the correct one. It didn't get faked into picking up this one. So we'll 0.1 microfarad, where you will have to put 0.1 microfarad if you want to use the left align or the strict matching. So for this, if you put in 0.1, that's not going to work, because there will be a leading 0 on it. So and as you can see, it's picked up that, but it didn't go and get that, which is to be expected. These ones weren't really a problem. It was always when you were trying to pick out that rather than that. Anyway, so that'll be in the next update. It's just another one of those little things that get added bit by bit. Alright, okay, so we need to get those resistors on there, else the comms is not going to work, and that may be affecting all of them. Hey Sonia, nice to see you. Let's see. Right, so it's 100k 201. But let's see. 470 nanofarad. Is that critical? That's actually a slightly critical cap. That is part of the LDO, so that could also upset things. Right, so we need 1 megas, 100 Ks, You're all 201s. No one wants to talk to you, 201. Or are they 201s or are they 402s? I can't remember. I didn't look at the schematic enough. They kind of feel 201-ish. Yes, they're 201s. Hey, 6 skills. Okay, so 100k and 1 megas. Okay, we got okay, lucky us, 100k straight up. I don't remember if I put leaded solder down on for those. I think I did. I think. Okay, we need a pair of 1 megas. God damn, I'm all of a sudden starving for some reason. Oh, it's 1:30 in the morning. Well, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? The worst thing is, I'm staying up late like this and Sonny still hasn't turned up. It's almost like he's got a life or something. Even Lewis turns up more frequent than Sonny. Miles, I get everything from, well, for here, Farnell, Element 14, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, Farnell is usually, obviously people go DigiKey. If you're in the United States, DigiKey is probably a better choice. If you're in the middle of nowhere, then perhaps Mouser. But for me, Element 14, Farnell do a good job. Oh god damn, I got 3 bags of 100Ks and I don't have a 1 mega anywhere. 47 ohm, 47K, 10 ohm. Give me the value I want, not the value you are. 10K, 27K. Why don't I have any 1 megas? Seems very short-sighted of me. I have to take them from somewhere else. You could probably really cheat and just use 100k or something like that. It's not recommended at all, but if push come to shove, if the fate of the world depended on it, you could probably drop 100k in there and get away with it. It's just a very weak pull-up, that's all. Actually, in this case, yeah, a very weak pull-up. 402s, I've got another box of 201 resistors, might get lucky. Or maybe I don't. Ah, shite. Alright. Looks like I'm gonna have to take him from somewhere. Now this cap here, I'm going to have to find a replacement, so that part, 0.47 microfarad, 6.3 volt. Hey, 10-minute tech. Great, iPads have got them. Wow, seriously, you're not... I was going to say you're not finding any, but 6 Plus has got them. $21.79. I have a feeling that $21.79. Okay, maybe we've got some probable hits here. That's not a lot of boards to have a hit on. So let's see if this actually is real or whether it's just a mismatch. It's a mismatch. Yeah, unfortunately the voltage is not high enough, so I picked up that. Now what's happening here is that the radius, the matching radius is too big, and that's why we've had that mismatch. It's not because of the previous problems that we've been having. Let's see, 0045. I don't know if I've got a 0045 though. I'll see. I might have a 0048, but very unlikely. I've mostly got 244s. But even though they're both the dreaded 12-inch machine, the A1534, they are completely different beasts. What I hate about these boards is that you have to peel off the damn sticker to see which one. Actually, you don't really. You just have to look at the board structure and you'd know. But I'm too... Come on. Come on. Come on. Use your fingers, mate. And we've got a 45. Ho ho. And guess who gave this to me? Pedro. Actually, maybe I do have mostly 45s. I can't remember. One of them has a piccolo chip on it, the other does not. Oh, there we go, 45. Okay. I don't want to damage Pedro's because it's a semi-working machine. Okay, the cap should be one of these ones here. So it's the first skinny one, so that's it right there. Let's make sure we don't lose that thing. Yeah, I can't remember whether it's the 244 or the 0045, but one of them has the piccolo chip on it. And often what will happen is you will get the scenario where the machine will boot, but it will come up with a flashing folder. So the way you get around that, temporary enough for you to get your data off, is you reheat and just sort of like tap the piccolo. Actually, don't tap it. Just reheat the piccolo chip, and often it will come good after that. But only for a long enough time that you'll be able to get your data off. Don't you dare give it back to the user and say, hey, here you go, it's all fixed. That'll be $300, please. Oh, for goodness sake, this is taking too long. Alright, that was quite a process. The next skill you have to have with repairs is to hold the little teeny weeny part as you move the board around into place and not drop the damn thing. And then the next skill after that is to get it back on without blowing it off into oblivion, which I'm kind of scared I'm going to do right now. Because it happens all too often. Oh yeah, especially when you're running at 110. Yeah, I'm especially running at just a nice gentle 40 liters per minute here. I'm very lucky that didn't just fly off. Yeah, Miles, that's the thing, to learn how to not to get that feel of enough but not too much. Alright, so we still need our 2.1 megas. So we got 1 meg, 201. This is where you can also have other trouble when you're trying to find a part. The part might exist somewhere, but you then have the attributes that you're looking for, like 1 meg, 201, and they're so far apart that you can't get them to match up when you're searching, at least not without creating a million other false hits. This is why people have often asked me, why don't we just capture the data that's in the schematics automatically to populate what's on the board view, like for part names, numbers, values and all that. And it's because there's no consistency in the way that the various bits of information are laid out. Like, you don't know if the value is going to be above, below, to the side, or even near where the actual part number is. And also, with PDFs, there's no correlation between the blocks of text. PDFs essentially are like a mosaic of magazine cutout letters for the most part, just all stuck together. At the very best, you generally will have the words. So the word will then be consisted of a sequence of runes, or just characters. And that's it. But other than that, there's no connection between the various parts of various blocks of text. So it's very hard to write an algorithm, particularly with things like schematics, that will work and capture the data without creating so much false data that you would have been better off just manually putting it in yourself anyway. Anyway, we've got to look for our 1 meg resistor. Just like to explain things occasionally because people get a bit frustrated as to why I won't do a certain a feature, and it's like because I know what can and can't work based on what I know the background is. Let's see, 201. Let me just leave that one blank. $165. May as well just stop and have a look at that one. Where are you getting 1 meg out of that? Clearly there's a bug in my code. There isn't even a 1M in there. Clearly strict match is a little bit broken. Let's try left align. Oh, you're still doing it. Why? It's not even... It's 1M? That is the weirdest thing. Obviously I'm gonna have to do some debugging there. No, I don't actually use regex on this. Alright, maybe we can pre-filter with 201 first. And then 1 amp, and then we'll do 120 watt. And that'll be a strict. That's just a little weird. But weird means we're gonna go and have a look and see if we can find the fault. Okay, I don't know where. I think I might have a one-off error. I am thinking I've got a one-off error, but that doesn't make sense. Oh. Just purely by accident, we have found one. And that's purely by accident. Anyway, it's something for me to look at. It's all good. It means I get to make the software better. Hey, Prater. Oh, I hate trying to pick out parts out of this area. It's just so easy to get blinded. Okay, so it's that one there. That one. This, of course, is why I use my own software, because it's the best way to debug is to use it. And keep using it until you do find a fault. Okay, really need to get them off these boards. You really do need a bit more oomph. And the other thing is, in terms of usability, if you, as a programmer, if you're using your own software and you do find something is niggling you and you sort of keep brushing it off like, you know, it's probably something you need to sort out, because chances are it's probably niggling other people. Like, one example is on the flex board view, you see you got the position coordinates coming up and all that. And what was happening before is when I would move the mouse out of the window, those coordinates would show some pretty stupid values. And it's not a massive thing, but it's just another little thing that makes the difference between a homemade hack job, works but not polished type program versus a commercially polished program. Because it doesn't mean that commercially sold programs are always guaranteed to be any good, but yeah, you like to try and provide that little bit of extra quality in the job. Yeah, I don't know if that was a 165 I took it from, but 99.99% chance they're going to have the same value in that position. Now there probably is a second one on this board, but we're just going to take from the same place on both boards. Lewis Rossman, of course, is an excellent tester, user. I think we both sort of have a mutual tolerance of each other in the sense of, it gets frustrating when he finds bugs on live stream and mocks the living daylights out of me. It's pretty, you feel it, because you're like, damn, that's my hard work there, and it's failed when it's been put into use, and I can't believe I didn't see that bug. Yeah, you feel pretty bad about what you've done. But at the same time, he can also be a pretty bad user too. But you sort of go, oh well, you know. But in many ways, if someone is having trouble with something, like if they can't find their way into solving a problem or working out why something is not working the way they want it to work, then you need to, rather than sort of try and educate them how to use it, maybe you should sort of think, is there a way I can present that option, that feature, or what they're trying to do in a way that is better, that will not result in them having this frustration. Now, it's not to say that users can't be absolute complete idiots and deserve a great big smack across the head, but at the same time, you need to respect that as a programmer, you don't always have things right either, so you do need to contemplate and say, well, maybe I can make this better. Even if you think it's silly, and why would anyone want to do it that way? Now, you shouldn't berate the user for doing it that way, rather find out why they did it that way and see if it's an indication that, man, that is all crappy crap there. This really does need ultrasonicking. Miles, it's not always a trap. It's a trap. No, it's not always a trap. Sometimes it's good for you. Sometimes. I guess the point is, if you want your software to go anywhere, you do have to accept that you're going to be wrong about how you thought things were going to get used. You're going to be not always get the best user interface running, and you are going to encounter bugs that show up only after you've spent 6 months of testing it and then hand it over to the user and they find it in 5 seconds. All because you just didn't expect them to do something the way they did. Alright, let's see if we have any further luck now. The trouble with code is that far too often you get a little bit personal with it. It becomes your little bit of artwork, and it's hard as an artist to accept criticism, particularly when you think it's so obvious what it is, or you should be able to see that, but you know, it's subjective. Alright, we've got 20 volts and 900 milliamps. This thing is running. Okay, that is working, or at least I hope it is. So in the end, it looks like a whole bunch of crap around there. Now, I don't know if I should ultrasonic it now. This is a bit of a conundrum that I face quite frequently, and I'm sure plenty of other techs do as well. When you've got a liquid damaged board and you get it to the point where it is booting, and it's got data on it, do you fire it up, get the data off, or at least hope you will, before something else craps out and fails? Or do you put it through the ultrasonic to make sure it's clean and it doesn't have any more crap on there that's waiting to cause damage, on the risk that the ultrasonic does do damage? So it's one of those things. Hey, Rob Cook. It is one of those things because there will be experiences that you've had where you've had a board that comes up and it works, and halfway through it dies because you didn't clean off the, you find there's a bit of junk that you didn't see, it caused subsequent damage on another part, and you can never get that board back. But at the same time, you also have experiences in the opposite direction too, where the board was working, you ultrasonic it, and no longer works again. So I guess the question is, which one is statistically more likely? No. Well, like I said, Wayne, the problem, and the others, the problem can be is when your data recovery fails halfway because there was some other part that's still corroding away now that it's got power back into it, and it causes a permanent failure. It's just one of those conundrums that come up. Alright, so the touch bar is absolutely fire trucked in this. I really am considering this one to be a data only job. The sort of liquid damage that we're seeing, it's the sort that comes back and bites you in the backside 3 months later. Even if even when you ultrasonic it, you clean it the best you can, you fix up everything, it's just one of those types of corrosion where it has a really nasty wicking tendency. Most of our decisions, well, pretty much all our decisions are driven by our experiences. It's quite hard for us to learn from other people's experiences. I think if you do have that innate ability to learn from other people's experiences, that's a very valuable thing to have. So this isn't about trying to fix up the hardware to make it run. This is just about what's the statistical probability of it failing while doing the data recovery because of not cleaning it properly. I think we've got enough things plugged in. I always forget what that connector's for. Some days you just feel like an idiot. CPU side 4401. Thunderbolt display connector, DFR display connector. Okay, I don't think we need that. Okay, data protection service. We still have we didn't have the initial fan kick, but 700, 800, 700, 600, 700, 800. Okay, we're good. Pull the plug. We'll do a data recovery on that in the morning. When I've got everything set up, I'll have my solid state drive ready to go. So, alright. But yeah, I'm going to convey to the client that it's probably better off as a data recovery only machine. I mean, I'm sure plenty of shops would actually just go ahead and repair that anyway and say, hey, you're good to go. But like I said, my stomach, my intuition is saying to me that that's going to become a failure in 3 months' time. Okay, I'm just going to write up the job. Let's see, let's go to schematics and let us go through. By the way, if you haven't updated Flexboard View recently, one of the big quirks, this is one of the things that used to annoy me with my own code, and finally I got around to fixing it, is that you now can rotate around a given point, whereas before it would just rotate the whole world, the whole board world, which was annoying as heck because it would fly off in one direction and you have to pan it back in. So now wherever your mouse pointer is, when you rotate, it rotates with it. like I said, it's just these accumulation of small things that I think separate okay programs with better programs. Hey, Kiki Hobby, and Just Ed. Just saw you there, Just Ed. Admin, yeah. Okay, now let's see. I gotta find out where. Here we go. Okay, so place. Here's another thing I need to fix. Notice it says 0 there. It's a classic one-off error. I just need to +1 everything. And over here it's got 0. Place. So we do, and all this area here we can just sort of say clean item. It's in the general area, so yeah. We really should have been doing this on the fly. Note also that even though we had the infrared camera, and even though the camera was saying, you know, this was getting hot and everything, it turned out to be nothing at all in this area. It was getting hot because we had those 2 capacitors shorted. Let's see. Damn Scotty from marketing. And the whole Afghan situation is a complete cluster. I mean, how desperate must you be? I mean, when you think to yourself, what would it take for you to climb on a plane to the point where you're going to, fall from that plane and die? What compels you that badly that you make that choice, knowing you're probably going to fall off and die? Yeah, it's not something you would normally think. Yeah, I'd take that path. Yeah. It's just another example of things going wrong. It's China's turn now. They will get in there, and goodness knows what's going to happen. What else did we change? I think it was mostly we just focused around this area here. I can't think of anything else. I could have a look at where the flux is. That's the easiest way. Just look. You take the board out, you look where all the flux is, and you go, oh yeah, that's right, I replaced that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there was anything else that I had to do. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, sure there were Darwin Awards, but I guess that's the point, is like, what compelled... You gotta appreciate how bad things are that they would take that option in the first place. I guess that's my point, is like, that really must be pretty suckful. Yeah, Travis, it would. Funnily enough, Travis, when I'm not doing YouTube, I do the job more sequentially. But when I'm on YouTube, that part of the brain kind of gets consumed dealing with the chat and responding to people. Yeah, Noosacat, that's true. They'd just pass out. Either freeze to death, pass out and fall off, or yeah, it just wasn't going to be. There was no way out of that. It's hard enough if you manage to get yourself into the wheel well, and at least then you're protected from the direct wind chill effect and lack of oxygen. Yeah, not really the lack of oxygen, but yeah, it's hard enough if you manage to get into there. Sitting on the outside of it, yeah, it's no good. It might not go to 30, but it'll at least get to 15, 20. Yeah. Alright, I can't think of much else. Alright, I'm going to leave it at that. I've done what I need to. Didn't really need to leave any comments, so that's good. Alright, that's it. We're done for the night. So, well, we didn't really do much. We broke our we broke our rosin container, but I think I'm going to have a shot at doing things better with that rosin system. And I think, what else? That other board, I have to see if we're in DFU mode. I have to put that back into the chassis, try get it to come up and connect to the Mac. And this one, yeah, we'll just put the solid state drive on there and put a time machine back up and walk away. Hopefully they'll be all good. Alright, I'm out here. You all take care. Thank you all for being here, and I'll see you next time. Probably tomorrow. Who knows? Depends what turns up in the mail system. And hopefully soon I'll be able to start shipping out those open board data capture kits. We are just waiting for the 3rd edition of these boards, and my tiny 45s will arrive tomorrow. And I do have more multimeters coming, and I've got a whole bunch of Hirschman leads, which are the ones that you see me use, because I don't want people to be using the standard leads that come with these things. I think they're complete crap. And yeah, realistically, anyone who buys multimeters under a couple of $100, even over a couple of $100, knows that the leads that come with them are generally crap. So I'm going to be supplying Hirschman leads with these meters so that people can do the capture. I've got more of these meters, different brand again, coming from China, so that's great. Let's see what else we've got. So we've got to make those. I've even got better quality USB mini leads coming. Yeah. Anyway, once everything's together, we'll start shipping out packages and people can start pushing data back to us. So thank you very much. I'll see you all next time. Take care.